Hey everyone, this is Jeffrey with Bangarang Bow Wows. Got to work with a dog that I'd worked with previously the other day. His name is Kevin. So Kevin is pretty reactive to people, especially strangers. So I decided to take him and his family out to Lacey Park rather than try to work with him in his home because he's just too high stress or too over threshold with me being in his home. The couple say that he eventually gets used to people after a couple times, but during that time he's pretty wild and lunges at them, and they said that usually he bites on their feet or whatever, and he's never hurt anybody, which is okay that it hasn't happened yet, or it hasn't happened, but that doesn't mean it will never happen. That if he feels threatened by someone in the home and the owner's not there or not in the room at the moment, that it won't turn into something a little bit bigger. So they've asked me to come work with him on his reactivity to people and try to get him get that behavior managed a little bit so it's not so severe. So this is actually the third time that I've been around him, and he's still pretty reactive to me no matter what I do. So I wanted to set him up in a low distraction area. I mean, obviously this is a park he's never been in before, so it's pretty high distraction, but it affords me the distance that I need to slowly break down the bubble that he has. So right when he got out of the car, I was unable to come within 25-30 foot of him before he would just lock eyes with me and he wouldn't break, and they could call him and he wouldn't break his gaze. So if I backed away from that, then he was fine. So really what I'm doing is I'm telling them to every time he looks at me and then looks away, to reinforce that behavior, to reward that behavior, to teach him that he doesn't need that. If he feels threatened by me, it's actually better for him to look away rather than to try to come at me to try to scare me away. That's usually what the problem is with dogs, say on the inside of the fence, when they're growling through the fence to get at the other person. That's generally the idea, that the dog is going to go towards the person on the other side of the fence, and they're going to growl and then jump and lunge, and then the threat is going to go away because you're walking away anyway. They don't make the correlation between that you were going to leave anyway. They make the correlation that I ran at you, I was barking and growling, and then I did that enough, and then you walked away. So I'm showing him here through the fence that it's okay for other people to be on the other side of the fence, and if you feel threatened by the person on the other side of the fence, then you can look away, because then the threat is gone. You're not looking at it, it's gone. So this is using a little bit of bat training from, I can't remember her name, but I can link her book or put it in the comments. So I figured we were going to have to go really slow with Kevin. He's really reactive. Just for me to be able to get close to him, to really start on the obedience, I need to be able to get somewhat close to him. I mean, this is good, but I bet if we were back in the home, it would be the same thing. So I'm getting him used to me, but I'm showing them, giving them tools that they can use when they go on a walk with him any other time, because they said that this is a problem. It's not just with me, with anything. I mean, he's even gotten and been really reactive to statues that look like people. So it's not just me. It's really any person. So I'm teaching them how to manage their dog's behavior properly so that he feels safe on walks, teaching them that they can tell people to back up, that when there is a situation where somebody's getting close, I told them don't grab the leash and pull him close like they usually do, because that might teach him that he needs to protect himself. So that's why he's on the leash here, and he's able to walk back and forth and free by me, and he's getting rewarded for that behavior, showing him that's okay. There's somebody around you. You can walk, you can look around, you can do all that. He's not being pulled back on the leash, because a lot of times that actually triggers dogs. That if they feel they are threatened, they know they're on a leash and can't get away, so it's the fight or flight response. Some dogs fight. Kevin is a fighter. He'll come at you. So really, we just walk back and forth here. I actually got within, 8 feet of him throughout this thing. Threw a couple of treats to him through the fence. He didn't like the ones that I had given him. Maybe he smelled me on him. Whatever. So then I was doing pretty good. So I came outside of the fence, and we had to do the exact same thing all over again. Teaching him that the threat and all the things that he used before still work. You can't expect your dog to handle two different situations the exact same. You have to teach them that if I'm on the inside of the fence or I'm not on the fence, that the same rules apply. That if I'm too close, you can look away, you can walk away. You don't have to go at the person that is threatening you. So did this for a while, and then actually later in the video I started throwing sticks at him to play fetch with him, which he played fetch, and he would go get the stick after I threw it, but if he came toward me within and got within 10 foot of me and I didn't throw it right away, then he got triggered and he started snapping. I actually put him on my 50-foot leash to do this, so that he could choose to come near me if he wanted to, but he was still he was still being controlled, or he was under control by his owners. So this is the way that I work with reactive dogs. What you'll see on TV and stuff for reactive dogs is get them to react and then react to them reacting. There's a much easier way to react. Throughout this entire session, Kevin did react twice towards me. We got a little too close, but that was 2 times he reacted, and probably, I don't know, let's call it 300 times he didn't react, and 300 times he got rewarded for not reacting. So building the value of not reacting was a lot greater than the value he got from reacting. I don't need the dog to react to teach him to not react. I actually don't want your dog to react. I don't need your dog to show the aggressive behavior. I don't need him to show any of the behaviors at all, because every single time a dog shows a behavior, it's being reinforced. Every time a dog barks at a squirrel, he's getting some enjoyment out of barking, so he's reinforcing the barking at the squirrel. Every single time your dog is outside and somebody walks by and he barks at them, he's getting some sort of stimulation out of it. Either it's because he feels threatened and he feels like he's doing something to get that away, or he's just barking to get their attention and they look at him. Then that worked. That's what all behavior is stuff that works. So I'm trying to figure out, what is Kevin wanting here? Why is he showing the behavior that he's showing? What is he trying to get out of it? Is he trying to get me to move away? If he is, we're showing him that he can actually move away, that he doesn't have to scare me away. He can actually turn his head and walk the other direction if I'm too close. I did that with Marshall. Marshall knows if, like today my dad came over and Marshall came up to him. My dad went to go pet him. Marshall didn't like it. Marshall walked away. He didn't have to go towards my dad to create space. Marshall knows that he can walk away from people. He doesn't have to engage. If Kevin here is doing it to get my attention, well, I'm showing him that doesn't work, because every time he would get close to me and start looking at me pretty hard, then I would actually turn away and look the other direction. So I'm not reinforcing that behavior works either. So I think I'm going to stop the recording now, and I'm going to edit this to try to get the other parts where I was throwing the stick with him in here. Okay, this is the other video I had. This is me playing fetch with Marshall. So we walked back and forth there outside the fence for a good while. He was allowed to get within about 10 foot of me, and he was okay with that, so that was good. I mean, that was great progress to what we had earlier. I mean, I went from 30 foot to 10 foot in about 40 minutes, and he was okay with it. So he had found a stick on the ground, and he was playing with it. It looked like he wanted to play, so I wanted to try to make other positive associations between me and him. So I had the trees over here by me, so I got a bunch of pieces of bark and started throwing him, playing fetch with him. Everything was going good. He actually, right there, he sat for me before me throwing the stick. And then he caught the stick and came close to me again. I don't know what happened here with him, but he did get kind of close to me, and that's why I turned away and walked away, because he did growl at me. But as soon as I turned around, he stopped, and then his owners called him, and then he got rewarded for coming back to them. So yeah, I didn't want that to happen, but he kind of, it's it's hard working with the owners. They allowed him to come within that 10-foot range, and it was my fault because I didn't tell them to keep him so far away from me. But so I wanted to end it on a good note, so I kept playing with him for a little bit. I just didn't let him get that close to me anymore. So with these guys, I mean, this was the second time. This was our second session with him. So we'd obviously made some progress, but it was in this situation. So it's really, my goal here was to kind of work on Kevin, but I was also there to show them how to manage his behavior, because I'm not there all the time to tell them. So I wanted to give them the tools that they needed to be successful with him and set him up for success when on a walk or with people around. So letting them know that when you get somebody that's walking up to you, don't pull him close to them and hold him tight, because that could be reinforcing the fear that he has in that situation. If you're pulling him close and you get tense and you freeze up, then he thinks that he needs to protect himself, that there's actually a threat there. So just teaching them to just call him and reward him for paying attention to him, because in all reality, if he is only paying attention to them, then he can't pay attention to anything else. That's why I work with dogs usually on reactivity, is that they just learn to not pay attention to the world around them, so then everything becomes background noise. They're so focused on paying attention to you that they don't need to, they don't even know what's going on around them, so therefore they can't react to anything that's going on around them. I also suggested that we start, that they look into getting a muzzle for him, just because of his reactivity. and we don't want to put him in a position where he can hurt himself or hurt somebody else because of misunderstandings, such as like taking him into a vet, or he's not going into a groomer. But I believe every dog should be muzzled. I mean, there are plenty of well-known dog behaviorists, behavioral scientists, that every dog should learn and be okay with being in a kennel, just the same as every dog should be okay with having a leash or a collar on, just in case, because they might be in a situation where it's needed. And if they're not accustomed to it, then it can be a really stressful thing and cause damage and pain to themselves or other people. So that is an option we're going to look into, just until we can work with them longer. I mean, it's not an overnight success story, and it generally never is. The stuff you see on TV, usually that is not the status quo. You don't get a dog to turn around in a day. We made great successes today. I went from 30 feet with me with a fence in between us to 10 foot, and I was playing fetch with them. So that was a great win. So we're gonna keep it there. So hope you all enjoy this video. If you have somebody that has a red line dog, let me know. Let them know about me, that I'm here to help, that I can start teaching them and giving them the tools to properly manage the behavior and work on it. So it's not just for them, it's for the dog also. The dog doesn't have to live its entire life in fear of everything around it. We're going to teach it that it's actually okay. There's no threat there. Once again, this is Jeffrey, Bangarang Bow Wows. Feel free to message me on my page at Bangarang Bow Wows on Facebook.